You're listening to Trek FM.
Hello and welcome to From There to Here, Trek FM's 50th anniversary rewatch of all 729 Star Trek adventures from Broken Bow, Oklahoma, all the way to Yorktown Base and Star Trek Beyond. I'm one of your hosts for today, Lee Hutchison from the Earl Grey podcast, and I'm joined by Brandon-Shea Mutala. How you doing, Brandon?
Hey, Pally, how's it going? Huckles, you got some nice threads going on there, Huckles.
Yeah, we're all wearing tuxedos to host this episode. We're nothing but the classiest guys here from There to Here. So, let's fire into the first episode. It's Only a Paper Moon. After Nog loses his leg, he returns to Deep Space Nine, but finds he can't go back to his normal life and takes shelter in the fictional world of Vic Fontaine and Las Vegas in 1962. So, Brandon, what do you think of It's Only a Paper Moon? The episode, not the song.
Well, I think both are great, actually. I think this episode's really good. Like, it's fun to see, again, some ramifications. So we don't really get that in Star Trek a lot. But with Deep Space Nine and the different storytelling options that they gave, we get to see ramifications of something that happened. So we had the siege of AR-558 a couple of days ago, and Nog lost a leg. And how does somebody deal with that? Yeah, you get a synthetic leg, but it's still a traumatic experience. You know, and I can't imagine what it's like to be in a war situation like that. I've never gone to war. I've never been in the military. I can only imagine how scary and frightening that would be. And so for Nog to have to go through this recuperating process and this trying to come to terms with the fact that he's lost a leg, and how he decides to use this hologram and this holographic program of Vegas in the 50s or 60s or whatever it is to work out those issues. I think it's pretty fascinating and it's pretty interesting. And it's fun. It's a fun episode to watch Nog, you know, this Ferengi, work in this casino. And so I like it a lot. I think it's a really good episode.
Yeah, it's so powerful that, yeah, like you, I've never gone to war or anything close to that. I've had family that have served in, you know, the World War II and in wars in the Middle East, and, you know, I can't imagine what it must be like to kind of serve in the military and risk your body and limbs. That, like, for me, one of my ultimate fears is losing a limb. So seeing kind of Nog go through that situation, then I think it's an incredible testament to the writing of Deep Space Nine and Aaron Eisberg, that we think of what Nog was like in that first episode, just like a thieving little wee kid, and now here he is, this battle-scarred veteran, like 7 years later. That's the type of character growth that a lot of characters don't even come close to in Star Trek, and we're talking regulars here. And I think it's such a powerful episode and an interesting take to have. You know, I would probably be similar to Nog. I'd want to take comfort in the holosuite during a time of war, that at least that way you're safe, that you're kind of surrounded by a fake environment. You don't have to go out there into the cold, dark world and face fears and horror and war and bloodshed. It's totally relatable, and I'm sure we'd all be like that realistically in the 24th century. The holodeck would be the safety net for all of us.
Yeah, I think so. I think a lot of people would use it for sure. I mean, it's weird how at the end of the episode, you know, they have it so that Vix is on 26 hours a day, you know, because the Bajoran day is a little longer. But again, if you just think about it, that you go back to Moriarty from Next Generation, and they were all freaking out about this hologram that accidentally came to life, and here they are, and they purposely programmed this self-aware hologram, and now he's running like a full life, 26 hours a day. Like, it's just like, wow, man, Mission Log is going to have a field day with this character.
I'm surprised Quark hasn't taken bigger issue with the fact that he's got this big bar, gambling casino, whatever, in Quark's bar, and now he's got to share space just upstairs with this Las Vegas casino, music hall, everything like that. He's like basically giving away his customers to this guy.
So as I'm doing this rewatch, because I've been rewatching, I've actually done the whole rewatch as we're going through it here, and I actually mentioned that to Mike, and Mike's like, well, I'm sure that Quark has, accommodated that in his price point. You pay $50 an hour or whatever it is to rent the Hollow Suite. Plus, if you're eating and drinking in there, he's going to add on those charges, right? And I'm like, yeah, but they're all secluded in this area now where they're not going to the bar. They're going to this other area. And so I was watching for other parts where this might have come up, and actually in Bada Bing Bada Bang, which is a future episode that comes up, where they have the Jack in the Box program. This is jumping at the timeline here. They need one more person to try and complete this heist on this casino, and they're like, do you think Quark would want to do it? And Odo mentions, he says no, because Quark still feels like Vix is the competition. So it's actually mentioned in an episode.
It is really kind of wacky, but yeah, I think this is such a special episode that I always find the start of season 7 just a little bit kind of ropey. I think it's the fact that kind of the second half is so powerful and so strong, and I think there's a bit too many kind of standalone episodes in the first half of season 7. While some of them are enjoyable, like Take Me Out to the Holosuite, some of them are just kind of like Chrysalis. And I think season 7 is just that little bit uneven at the start, but this is one of the ones that bats it out of the park, that it ties into earlier episodes. It's part of this bigger arc, and I think Deep Space Nine in the beginning of season 7 is just amazing when it kind of goes to these sort of places.
Yeah, you bet. Well, should we move on to the next episode?
Yeah, exactly. Prodigal Daughter. Esri returns home to her family to ask for help when Chief O'Brien goes missing while trying to search for the wife of Bigby.
Now, you were just talking the other day about Honor Among Thieves.
Yeah, that's right. I haven't listened to the episode back yet because we've recorded at this time of space where the episode hasn't been released yet, so I can't remember too much of my thoughts on it. But yeah, it's a fine enough episode, Honor Among Thieves. But this follow up for me is just pretty boring.
Yeah, it's kind of weak.
Yeah, like this kind of the whole family dynamic with the Trill family. They're just like, they're not the most interesting people in the world. Like, oh, it was me, just the dumb little brother. Oh, I killed her. It's like, oh, okay, fine, sure. I don't know, there's some serious problems with this episode, and it's just totally uninteresting, and it's like this idea, oh, we're going to go find this Orion Syndicate and deal with that, and go through all these kind of plot holes in the Orion Syndicate, but then they make it into this small family drama, and the family's pretty boring, that we've got a mum that puts some pressure on her sons. Okay, one of them's doing the books, sure. One of them's a bit of an idiot and has killed someone. Oh, right, yeah, sure. It's really boring, and then when Chief O'Brien comes in, you think, oh, here we go, the episode's really going to kick off now. And then it's just kind of still really boring. I don't think Honor Among Thieves was an episode that we needed a follow-up to, and I don't think with the limited run of episodes we've got in season 7 that if they want to do a story about Esri, that this is the most exciting option they could have taken. It's a thumbs down for me.
Field of Fire is a way better Esri episode.
Yes, for sure.
I don't buy that Miles would go looking for this woman with the Syndicate being as dangerous as they say. Like, what about his wife and kids? He's just leaving behind Keiko and Molly and Kiriyoshi here to go after this criminal's wife. Like, I know that he developed a bond with him when he was working with him, but I don't know. I just don't buy that he would go looking for her, and it's just implausible that it just ends up winding up being a part of Esri's family, and it's just so implausible that it's really hard for me to step back and try and find something good about it. I don't know.
Deep Space Nine is really good at connecting episodes and pulling in threads from previous episodes into episodes you wouldn't think are even related. But here it's just like, I'm not really fussed about this thread. I didn't want a follow up to it, and the follow up doesn't really add anything to the first part. The first part is a really interesting character story. It says a lot about the Federation. Here it's just a kind of bland family drama where even the revelation that Esri's brother's a killer kind of just leaves you like, oh, okay, sure, whatever, yeah, thank God it's over, we'll move on. It's a totally forgettable episode, and yeah, not often you can say that about Deep Space Nine.
Yeah. Well, we're running kind of short today, so why don't we sing It's Only a Paper Moon.
And another thing I will say about Prodigal Daughter is that another frustrating element is that we rarely see the Trill kind of represented in terms of episodes. That you can probably count over the 170 odd Voyager episodes. That, okay, we've got the episode where they go hang out in the mud. We've got the one where Jadzia's former hosts are transferred over to the other characters, and not much else. So that the Trills are, for, you think of how the Klingons, the Bajorans, other alien species are represented in Deep Space Nine. We don't really ever see much of the Trill, and for this to be another Trill episode, like, is this what we're getting? That's another frustration as well. I think the Trill are such a fascinating species, and I would have loved to see more of them kind of represented as what their culture's like, not just meeting, say, Ezri and Jadzia, and learning more about what makes them tick, what about people that aren't joined, people that are joined. I think there was so much untapped potential with the Trill.
I agree. I totally agree. Well, should we close the books for today?
Yeah, I think we should, yeah.
That's a little bit of a short one, but I don't think we have much more to say.
Sometimes you just get to episodes like that where it's like, there's not much to say about Prodigal Daughter. That in itself is a commentary on the episode.
Excellent. Well, where can people find you when you're not fixing the books for either your holographic casino or for your family on Trill?
Yeah, you can find me at Lee_Nostromo, or you can find me on the Star Trek Next Generation podcast, Earl Grey. What about yourself, Brandon?
Before I tell that, I'm going to ask, so are you Lee_Nostromo because you're like a huge Alien fan?
Yeah, that's it in one, yeah. I'm a huge Alien fan.
I figured so. I don't know if you've mentioned that or not before, but you can find me here on the network with new episodes of Melodic Treks, which is all about the music of Star Trek. And you can find me every once in a while poking my head up in the Babel Conference. And I've actually been on a few recent episodes of Warp 5, talking about Enterprise. So join us again tomorrow as we finish up this block with Latent Image and Bride of Chaotica.